what'll happen.
It really is amazing that we can just like kind of be idiots and just push a button and then suddenly we're streaming on the internet and it like all of that is just handled for us.
It's amazing, dude. Yeah, when it used to be so difficult.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was the friction was just.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that like I've been on a lot of podcasts lately as a guest.
Yeah.
No one does it like us. And I'm not comparing. I'm just kind of like contrasting different ways and and I like the way we do it. Like I'm on many shows that it takes them months to get it like in the queue or whatever it is. And the typical way that I see it is they record it, do whatever in the background. They create like a whole season, let's say.
Yes.
Then they start releasing them and they push them. No one live streams that I've seen here.
Okay.
And then they push them, like they post about it, push people to YouTube.
Yeah.
More than the podcast thing. I think they're trying to get YouTube followers, I guess, or subscribers or whatever.
Sure.
And then lately I've been seeing more people, they'll release the whole episode like up on X or on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And keep it native. I don't know if they get more engagement that way or whatever. It's just kind of an interesting observation that, I don't know.
That last part doesn't make any sense to me. Like my feeling is be where your listeners already are.
Yes.
So don't
instead of trying to use it to grow on a platform, find the platform they're already at. And,
you can put it on all the platforms and then only focus your growth efforts on one at a time. That actually makes sense because we don't have unlimited money or time or anything.
Yeah.
But the idea of pushing a podcast out and like, I have this conversation with podcasters all the time when I'm like, YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world. I think it's a good idea to put your podcast there.
I would think so.
Absolutely. And people are like, well, but I don't see podcasting as video. It's like, fine, put it out there with your logo.
Yeah.
Most of the time people aren't going to see it, but like with Gig Gab, I think our most popular and our second most popular, our top two episodes on YouTube are neither one of them has video content.
Really?
They both have static. And one of them was an interview with a guy named Jan Hammer, who wrote of course, the Miami Vice theme song and all that stuff. Right. Yep. Yeah. So that was that was actually a long time ago. That was like 9 years ago. And then the other one, right after Tom Petty died, it was just me and my co-host at the time. And we had a conversation about Tom Petty, and I think I named the episode, remembering Tom Petty, 4 Chords in the Truth or something.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that one has, tens of thousands of listens. I would say views, but ain't nobody looking at anything.
That's right. Yeah.
So, but none of those views would have happened. None of those listens would have happened if we didn't put it there and leave it there.
For sure. You got to push it out there. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's interesting.
But I do, with an interview-based show, there is a risk to with us, it's not a problem. Like last week's a great example. Our guest, last minute scheduling snafu couldn't do it. You and I just did a show without the guest. But if your show is reliant upon guests, you want to build in time buffer between when you're going to record.
That makes total sense.
I've learned this the hard way.
Yes.
Yes.
That I get because stuff happens.
Yeah, of course. You don't. It's not like you and me where certainly things happen, but we're both committed to this. There's not, it's not like a one-off thing. And I mean, I've had people who were like, with Gig Gab years ago, I had one guy who was like, he was supposed to come on. Thankfully, again, it was me and my co-host. And so we just did it without him. Yeah. And then like 2 hours later, he's like, oh, well, my girlfriend showed up at my house. So we were hanging out and I just didn't do the thing. I'm like,
okay.
I mean, I don't know what to say to you.
You can't say anything. It's just, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Your priorities are not mine. And you can't control that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Reliability is really interesting.
All right. Should we take pictures?
Yes. Let's take pictures. Okay. Oh, wait, I guess I got to get hold on.
Yeah. One of us needs to actually be ready to take the picture.
Okay, ready? Awesome. Okay, we'll do one more?
Sure.
We'll do one more. Okay. Hold on. We'll just do us there in the thing. Okay. We're taking pictures, folks, so we can use it for our album cover. Okay, ready? All right. Awesome.
Great.
Awesome blossom. Okay. My ears sound weird. Hold on. Let me. You know what I learned? I have two different size ear canals. I don't know if that's
same.
Yeah. So I finally put a larger monitor, nub or whatever it is in there, and it's much better.
That's great. Yeah, it makes a difference.
Yes. Okay. If you join us on live stream, thank you very much. We're just getting ready to record a couple of episodes, and I'm ready whenever you are, man.
Same. What is that? Okay, I don't need to worry about that. Great. Do not disturb. Ready to rock. Here goes everything. Oh, I want to do that. And yep, here we go. Business Brain, episode 660 for Wednesday, June 25th, Global Beatles Day, 2025. Folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we digest and analyze and tweak and go through ideas so that we can all keep on living charmed lives together and individually. We go through the ideas together. We live our charmed lives individually and together. Our sponsors for this episode include eversight.com/BB, where you can get your gorgeous pro-managed website without the stress. And openphone.com/businessbrain, where you can go to get 20% off your first 6 months of the #1 business phone system that'll streamline and scale your customer communications. We'll talk more about both of those in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And back in Lafayette, California, I'm Shannon Jean. How are you, man?
I'm good. I love Global Beatles Day. It's Beatles are one of my favorite bands.
Insects or
no, the bands, the bands.
Yes,
the band, not the bands.
Yeah,
there was just the one band called the Beatles.
Important. Yeah,
both are important,
and the bug, very, very important. We'd be in big trouble without. Without either one of them. So
that's true.
But hey, I want to talk a little bit about. We had some sad news over the weekend. Fred Smith, the founder of FedEx, and really arguably the inventor of overnight shipping, freight, overnight, documents, this kind of thing, and at least into a feasible business with FedEx, the founder of FedEx, and very interesting guy. I got to meet him a couple of times at FedEx events. Super humble, normal dude. There's a famous story that they were out of money, and he took all the cash they had left and went to Vegas.
Well, yeah, he was. Right? A friend of mine works for FedEx, and has shared a lot of stories about FedEx. But it was Fred Smith was on his way back to Memphis, connecting through Chicago, Memphis, where their headquarters were, and the company was out of money. He was heading back to Memphis to let everybody go and shut it down. And he's like, I don't want to go to Memphis and do that. And so he looked at the board and he's like, where can I go instead? And he saw Vegas. And so he went and put it on the blackjack, I guess. Yeah. It was how the story went, and won like $27,000 and went back and made payroll and kept it going, and here they are now. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. It's a gamble. And
that's it, literally. Yeah.
It's a gamble. And so many of my businesses relied we rode the overnight services wave, if you will.
Yep.
And started with laptops. And when I read about it this weekend, I thought back, and I can remember sitting in our conference room and having a conversation with FedEx reps that we had. And I said, hey, why can't we put one of our laptop repair pickup boxes? These were like 12 by 16 box with foam inside.
Sure.
So why can't we put one of those in every FedEx truck in the country? And they looked at me like, you're nuts. You're nuts. And so I just kept making that statement every time I talked with them.
Yeah.
And FedEx didn't. We never.
I was going to say it never happened with FedEx, did it? No,
no, it did not. But it did happen with DHL,
right?
And it was timing because DHL they had purchased Airborne Express to be their U.S. because DHL is owned by the German post office, right? Deutsche Post, and so they wanted to break in domestically. Airborne Express, which is also I think Courier or something like that up in Canada.
Okay,
and so they bought DHL, bought Courier,
Airborne Express.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Keep me on track. And they had this plan, and as we were meeting with them because they wanted some of our business. They were doing our international business. They said, hey, we're going to have this domestic stuff, and they said, look, we're going to do this rollout where we're going to bring all the express vehicles, vans into a painting facility over the weekend, and we're going to paint. They're all white. We're going to paint them all the DHL yellow over 2-day period. So on Friday they're going in, on Monday we're going to make this big splash. And so I made this comment. I said, "Hey, why can't I have our laptop repair box in every van, every DHL van?" And they were like, "Well, that's a lot of boxes." I was like, "Well, how many boxes is it?" Well, it really surprised me. It wasn't. I mean, it was thousands of boxes, but they're not that crazy expensive. And I was like, wouldn't that be a great time to roll out something like that you can get a lot of press with and publicity that, you can do same day pickup for any laptop? We were in the Apple space. So at the time, I think it was PowerBooks. Maybe it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't
MacBooks. It was definitely PowerBooks. I remember when you did this. Yeah.
And so we were Mac Rescue. We started PowerBook Rescue. We were already in business, but we wanted to do this overnight, business. And so we worked with DHL, and it was, if you called us by 2 p.m. Your time, we could pick up your laptop overnight and bring it into our repair facility, fix it, and send it back out overnight, back to you. And it was before the Apple Store. There was not as many. The
infrastructure. You were part of building that infrastructure. It just didn't exist yet.
Yeah, and that question, after I decided that, look, okay, it's not a question anymore. It's like, we are going to put a laptop box in an overnight freight company's vehicles. I don't know which one it's going to be.
Yeah.
But we're going to do it. And, I just kept bringing it up, meeting with these guys and going on events. And DHL, to their credit, they stepped up. They were a disaster in many other ways.
Yes. It makes sense that like a DHL, they were in a position, they were hungry. Exactly.
They were hungry.
Exactly.
Yeah, FedEx and UPS looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
I tried to get into FedEx because they bought Kinko's at the time, which became FedEx Office.
Yep.
And that was hey, I want a box in every, FedEx Office location in the country, so anybody go. And we did get that worked out because I didn't have to buy the box; they were already there.
Yeah, it's just dropping it off.
Worked out pretty well because it's, when you get told no, you just got to keep asking. If you think it's going to work and going to try it, and it changed my life. It changed my entire business, and it made us national on a repair level.
Right.
Excuse me. It instantly moved us to a nationwide company. And then we took that same model and we did it for a bunch of other products, some of which worked out great, others not so much.
Sure.
But we just kept adjusting the model, changing the boxes, how we would do it, picking up, and, whether eventually it was iPads and, we did some phones, but phones turned out to be just too personal. You couldn't be without them.
Yeah. That's tough.
So it was a very different experience, but we learned, real quick that was still a local business. But anyway, keep asking questions. Don't take no for an answer, and decide that it's going to happen, and things change.
I think even though you didn't do that particular deal with Fred Smith, I think he would have agreed with everything you just said about, keep asking questions. Don't take no for an answer, especially don't take no for an answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Based on what I know about Fred Smith. He was always very. He remained the same guy that was the scrappy, business startup guy. He just was that all the way through. Even when he grew to a point where
he remembered. Like I went to. They invited us to FedEx Orange Bowl at their event. He came up, met me, and he knew about our business, and I was like, wow, obviously they prepped him. Hey, this is
of course.
Of course. But I totally respected it. Made me look very, very important in front of my wife, which is always a plus.
That's great.
And he was like, how's the laptop business and what's going on and what's the next thing for you? And I talked to him for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, of course.
But it was amazing and it was great. And it made me feel unique and special. And that's a great thing for a leader to be able to do.
There's a lot of lessons there. I bet we could dissect a lot of things Fred Smith did and laugh at some and learn from all of them. So yeah,
absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right. Well, we'll do that at some point. The next thing that I want to do is talk about our sponsors because, well, have you ever tried juggling flaming batons while answering client calls and typing emails with your feet? Yeah, me neither. But running a business without our sponsor, OpenPhone, might feel just about that chaotic. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that keeps you connected without turning you into a 24/7 call zombie. It runs through an app on your phone or computer, so you don't need to carry 2 phones, or worse, share your personal number with that client who sends 2 a.m. texts about font choices. And the real magic? Your whole team can share one number and collaborate like it's a group chat with call and text history, so nobody drops the ball. Plus, their AI agent answers after hours, handles questions, and captures leads while you sip tea and lead your charmed life. Whether you're solo or scaling up, OpenPhone is the business line built for builders. And OpenPhone is offering our listeners of Business Brain 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/businessbrain. That's OPENPHONE.com/businessbrain. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Keep living that charmed life. And our thanks to OpenPhone for sponsoring this episode. And now let's talk websites, because if your business website is still rocking that 2012 vibe with spinning GIFs and Comic Sans, it's time for an intervention. And Eversight, our sponsor, is your always on-call web team for just $3.99 a month. That's it. No $10K setup fee, no long-term contract, just reliable humans who pick up the phone, reply to your texts, and yes, will rescue you when your ancient WordPress site gets hacked by a 14-year-old with a hoodie and a Red Bull. These folks build your new site and proactively manage it so you can spend your brain power where it matters, on growth, not glitchy plugins. Think of Eversight as the secret weapon in your back pocket, right next to your emergency chocolate, of course. They're already managing hundreds of business sites, and they'll treat yours like it's the homepage of the moon landing. In fact, Shannon, your site is one of those that they are managing now, right?
Yeah, after it was hacked by a 14-year-old in a hoodie.
That's right. Yes.
It was a disaster on a weekend, and I reached out to them, and it was like super fast. Temporary splash pages, because they're like, well, we can't build the site for you, obviously, overnight. Splash pages, put redirects in place, because that was a big part, because I had a bunch of redirects going to like my newsletter, my mastermind. Yeah. And so all those got corrupted and didn't work. And I had all the social stuff posts with thousands of those out there with links and everything. And they just came through for me, man. And I love those guys. They're tremendous.
Amazing. Well, you can do it too. You can get your own site managed. Just go to sign up at eversite.com/BB. EVERSITE.com/BB. And yeah, that's awesome. Our thanks to Eversight for sponsoring this episode. I was thinking, we talked about patience last week, and I said, you act like you need patience more than you need money, even when that's not true. It's a good attitude to have. And I was thinking more about that, and I started to think about this concept that patience is a currency. You can use this to get ahead. We talk about you take money and you invest it, and that allows you to grow your business. You take time and you invest that time as a currency, right? Patience, I think similar to time, but differently, because I can wait for somebody for a long time and be impatient about it, or I can wait for somebody for a long time and be patient with them and kind and like help them through. And those are the kinds of relationships, when you build those and they're based on patience, they start to be based on trust. Those are the things that last a really long time. And as impatient a person as I am, and yes, I am extremely impatient.
Not me, Dave. Not me at all.
No, it's just I'm the only one. I understand, and I've been able to carve out a career for myself in a lot of ways that's based on patience. And it's just like, okay, I as frustrating as this would be, if I wasn't wanting to, earn this group of business or whatever, it's like, I'll wait it out, man. There's so many things where, you ask somebody and it's like, oh, they're not ready yet. Okay, I'll just wait until you're ready. And that alone is the key. And then be following up and doing all the things. But just when somebody says no, it's like you were saying before. In fact, very much related to what you were saying before about, finally getting your boxes on DHL trucks. You were patient about that.
Yeah, sure.
And that currency got you a ton. That investment it paid off, even though it took years. It was that patience.
And I think another way or a different way to look at this too is I was reading today, and somebody was asking, like, how long does it really take to get a business off the ground? And I was like, well, it's definitely years. I mean, if you think it's going to happen in months, you're going to be sorely disappointed. And it's a similar thing. It's that patience, it pays off, and understanding that, oh, okay, the first year or two are going to be a grind.
Yes.
It's going to be difficult, but I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to track things. And as you move in a certain direction, you're going to look at the data and make adjustments, but you're still going to be patient. You're not going to quit because things didn't happen quite as fast as you thought they would. I'm all for speed, and we talk about it all the time. Let's move quick. Let's take action. Let's get this stuff done. But you also need to, be patient for the outcome.
Yes.
Otherwise, you'll never achieve anything great.
Yeah.
If you don't focus, and I think it was like 2 years before we did during this podcast, before we got our first sponsor, that we were like worthy of, hey, you got enough traffic, you guys know what you're doing. We'll invest and do some tests and see if it's works. So, and I think you told me one time the average podcast doesn't make it past 10 episodes. Right?
No, double digits is rare company. Yeah.
Yeah. So that patience, and it's also kind of giving yourself that built-in outlook that
it's true.
Oh, I'm going to be okay. This is going to be the next couple of years. Don't think that, okay, all I have to do is for 3 months, 6 months, and then I'll have enough money and I can live.
No.
What is your, not a plan B, because I'm not a huge fan of those, but what is how will you live and how will you manage your life, basically, while you're building this thing? And let's face it, while you're suffering through,
yeah. And when I came,
tough times.
When I was thinking of this, I was thinking of it more in terms of customer service or sales, right? Dealing with not just patience with yourself, because I'm very impatient with myself.
I am too.
And that's not a good thing.
Said this is a different way of looking at it, but it's still
it's the same.
It's the same. It is a currency.
Yes,
you are building it. Okay, I know it's going to do this. I'm committing. Doesn't mean you can't do other things along the way.
Of course not.
But understand that you really have to commit, and you have to be patient while you build these little things to see if it's going to work.
For sure.
And to master it, right? There's that 10,000 hours concept, right? Where if you do something 10,000 hours, that's the only way you're going to master it. But it's the same kind of thing.
It doesn't change. Yeah.
No, but it's true.
But don't forget about it with your customers, because especially like I said, sales or anything like that, where you're just waiting for the right time for someone to match for their needs to match your offerings, right?
Yeah.
And in those moments, that's where the magic is. And if you've been the one that's just there, not pushy, but you're just there, and we'll make this happen. It's fine. It's fine. I had somebody that was a sponsor that I met with them in May of 2024. and kept up on them. And, it was fine. They were like, oh, yeah, we're going to do something right away. No, nothing has happened yet. Finally, this past May, they're like, we really need to talk. And I'm like, oh, yes, I don't disagree. Like,
yeah.
But I didn't tell them, I've been waiting on you a year. No, It's like, yeah, okay, great. Your timing, like I've kept you up to date. I've kept you informed. And now it turns out you're ready to work with us. Amazing. I'm not upset about this. I mean, do I sometimes make a snarky comment maybe to my wife after hours or something like, it took them long enough?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But, I don't say it to the staff. I don't, like, it's always just, yep. It's just like, of course. This is how success is built.
Yep.
And patience is one of your best currencies.
Yeah. Isn't there like some advertising saying something that people need to see your name and this thing like 12 times and
it's true.
All that kind of stuff. So I mean, I do think there's a lot to it. And that comment you made about not talking in a negative manner about your clients with your team, we need to do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a lot to dig in there. So
there's a lot. Well, the sad part though is that this episode is almost over, Shannon.
Wow,
it happens.
Time flies, man.
I guess we got to do one on Friday. I guess
Let's
that's
do it.
I guess so. Yeah. I guess
our favorite. Come back for Friday Eye.
Oh yeah, good stuff coming up on Friday Eye this week. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. Thanks for everything. We've got some of your reviews to read. Make sure you review us. businessbrain.show/review. We would love to hear from you. That is part of the fuel that keeps us going, and we are patient for it, but we're getting impatient. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you on Friday.
See ya.
All right, sweet. We're out.
All right.
Not out, but
not out. But yeah. We're in between. So if you're one of the 400 or so live streamers hanging out, thank you. And we're going to do a little inter-show processing of that first discussion that we just had, so we can get that ready to go live on Wednesday or go to the podcast platforms on Wednesday. And then we're going to come back in a few minutes and just record our Friday episode, which is good. All right. And that's great.
Yep.
This is interesting. So, brain. I'm curious how accurate those counts are on the live streams.
Oh, do you really want to have that conversation?
No, I don't. Okay. I'm just going to believe what I'm going to believe and my bias to success.
Correct. That's it. Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what it always works for me.
Yeah.
It always works for me. Yeah, I like it. That's good stuff. Yeah. So
I don't want to be a thief of anyone's joy here.
No. Of course not. Yeah. And I'm going to do this Delphi thing. I'm going to sign up. I'm going to pay the $79. I'm going to set it up, and I'm going to create something with it so we can come back. I'm going to talk about it today. For Friday Eye. Friday Eye.
Friday Eye.
I say it? Friday Eye. That's right. Yeah. But I'm going to do the thing where I can sync the podcast and play around with it. We'll see. Where am I here? See what it is. 5 products. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Right. Now I know what I'm doing.
Perfect.
I'm almost there. Yeah, almost finished.
Yes. Very good.
There's that.
Shield, curl, delete. Okay. All right.
Oh. Excuse me.
Did it work?
Yeah. No, I just had like a little hiccup.
Last week, when you were on, when we're live streaming on X, at least,
yes.
My profile pic has a kind of a.
Oh, does it show that you're live?
Like live. Yes.
Okay. Like a badge or whatever.
Yeah, it's a round thing. And then it also shows on the right side, at least on the desktop version, it says live on X. And we're up there in top 3. We're in, because I'm looking at it, so it shows.
Yeah, it's you, right? Yeah.
Last week, it was something different happened. So last week, it stayed live all day. And then it started showing the number of replays on our on the live stream, and people could replay the whole thing. So it stayed on there. So like right now it's showing 359 views. And I think by the end of the day, last week, it was up to like, I think close to 1,000. So it's interesting. Yeah. Huh.
I would love to know, to answer the question that you asked that you didn't want an answer to. I would love to know how long someone needs to watch for before it counts as a cumulative view on X.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder if
because on YouTube, a view, as I understand it, and this may have changed, but it's like 1 second is all it takes for it to count as a view. But you won't see it here in our thing. It only shows you the current people watching, whereas X shows you the running total of people who have watched. Yeah.
I'm asking ChatGPT to see if it can come up.
Actually, ask Grok. Ask Grok.
Sometimes I ask it and it doesn't know. It's like it doesn't connected like super. It's definitely not as good. Okay, no. So here it says, let's see here. Media Studio Analytics. 2 seconds.
What prompt?
I just said, how long does someone need to watch a live stream on X before it is counted? They are counted as a viewer.
Okay. I'm gonna ask.
Right?
Yep. I'm gonna ask Grok. I'm gonna ask Perplexity the same question.
Okay, good.
Because we're gonna talk about this.
I'm gonna go ask Grok and see what it says.
How long does someone need to watch a live stream on X before their view is counted? Okay. A view on live stream on X is counted when a user watches the stream for at least 2 seconds and has at least 50% of the video player available on their screen, visible on their screen. Sorry, this metric applies to both uploaded videos and live broadcasts. So key details, minimum watch time, 2 seconds. Great.
Well, see, now Grok says something very different. I just shared it with you in Slack.
Okay.
It does not give you an answer because it says, X doesn't publicly specify the exact time, unlike platforms like YouTube or Twitch, which often use metrics like concurrent views. X view count system is less transparent. Based on available information, X likely counts a viewer when they engage with the stream, possibly as soon as they load it. But this can include fleeting interactions like scrolling past the stream in the feed, which may inflate numbers compared to other platforms.
Grok is hiding the answer. The answers are out there on the internet. Yeah. ChatGPT and Perplexity both can find them, and Grok chooses not to.
Yeah, or ChatGPT and Perplexity are speculating.
No, they are pointing to
the source.
Yeah.
Let me find it. Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Helpx.com. You're right.
Yep.
Triggered when a user. Oh, it's right here.
I know.
It says. Yeah. Yeah. What the hell? Where did that go?
Yeah.
Hang on. Let me copy this. Oh, come on. What's it doing? My browser is very strange. Yeah, because if you open up the media, there we go.
Yeah, and ChatGPT gave the same answer for this.
Yeah, they did.
Exactly the same answer. 2 seconds and 50% or more of the video player visible on your screen during that 2 seconds. Yep.
All right, now we know.
And of course, this all comes from a Reddit thread about this titled, Twitter X is completely faking its view count.
It doesn't surprise me on Reddit. There's not a lot of positivity going there.
No. Doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means they're...
Yeah. So, okay, we're at 407, right. So if we got 200, I'm very happy.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's record Friday AI.
Friday AI. Let's make it happen. Here goes, nothing. Business Brain, episode 661 for Casual Friday, June 27th, National Food Truck Day 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take some ideas, we crunch them, we dissect them, and we use them to tune our business brains so that each of us can keep on living our charmed lives. Our sponsors for this episode include openphone.com/businessbrain. That's where you're going to go to get 20% off your first 6 months of the #1 business phone system. It streamlines and scales your customer communications. You got to check it out. We'll talk more about it in a little bit. And also eversight.com/BB. That's where you get your own in-house web team for just $3.99 a month. Shannon's a customer. We'll talk more about that in a little bit too. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I am Dave Hamilton.
And in Lafayette, California, I'm Shannon Jean. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, my friend. How goes? What are we doing first here today? You want to tell me about this Delphi thing you found?
I do want to tell you.
I want to talk. We'll talk about Delphi now. Yes. But I have been comparing Perplexity and ChatGPT a little bit, and I want to talk about that later. So let's start with Delphi.
Nice. And are we talking about? We have any reviews today? We're talking about.
We have some reviews. We'll talk about that in a little bit too.
Later. Perfect. That's great. Yep. So I read a lot about AI options, different things, and one of the folks I follow was talking about an AI service called Delphi. DELPHI.ai.
Yep.
And about 6 months ago, now Delphi is basically, their tagline is "Your brilliance always on," which basically takes, your mind now on demand. So it looks like they tried different things. So I'm on the pricing page, and you can bring in sources, whether it's a podcast, your YouTube channel, a bunch of your blog, your website.
Content you have already created.
You have created.
Okay.
And so they will ingest it and then create a method for people to interact, whether it is a Slack plugin, a chat on your website, all kinds of ways.
So they're cloning me, or a portion of me is the idea. Okay, yeah, their website. I love this, and it also scares me what they say here. Future-proof your knowledge. Instantly turn text, audio, or video into a living digital mind. It learns continuously, evolves with you, and mirrors your latest insights. I like this. It also is creepy.
Yes, it is.
But that's
it's AI. You could describe AI in general.
In a nutshell.
Yes,
correct.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yes, I like it. So this guy that I follow, he's talking about it, and he said, hey, he tried it late last year, and it was like, it's not there yet. I couldn't get it to do X. It wasn't very accurate or whatever. But just recently posted about it. They said, hey, it's way better. And
now
it's very accurate now. And so I am going to do an experiment. I'm going to go ahead and sign up for they have a free version that does just some limited stuff. And then then their pricing starts at like $79 a month if you want to really get access to dig in to what it does. And it goes up from there, depending upon how you do it. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I think that what interests me is like the Slack integration, because I have my coaching clients in Slack. And if I was able to take all the transcripts from my coaching sessions and upload these, I've uploaded 140 transcripts to ChatGPT, and it's okay. It does give me back feedback on shared things, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good, but it was okay. So I'm going to try this same concept here and see if I can create an advice chat, so to speak. So if I'm not available, somebody could ask a question, and it would be answered in the way that I would answer it using data that I've supplied. Because I get asked the same questions over and over, right?
Yeah.
So,
this is, This is interesting. I mean, we have AI assisted customer service where it learns from your stuff, your previous answers, your knowledge base, all of that stuff. This is, and that makes sense to me, right? Where you've got, your company has customers asking a question.
Yep.
you can have the AI be the front lines, the triage, right? If you will. If they need more, then they get escalated to a human. But this isn't, I need help with my account on your business's website. This is, I would like your Shannon Jean insight into a question that I have.
Yeah, and I think I can set up different categories. Like, for example,
of course, sure.
I could upload. I wrote a book about selling luxury goods, and I will I'll upload the whole book, and I would hopefully be able to answer. I don't know if this is true. I'm going to come back and report on this. Hopefully somebody that has a question about luxury selling that I'm working with would be able to ask the question. And if I've covered that topic, which chances are I have, about photography or listing information, all this kind of stuff, it could provide that data to them in a...
Well, that makes sense to me.
Yes,
but what if I ask a question that you have not specifically answered? So instead of it mining this data base of your content and saying, I found Shannon's answer to this question. What if somebody asks a question that you haven't answered yet? Is it going to try and intuit?
I don't know that. Here it says it handles a routine guidance and generates valuable insights for your live sessions. So
interesting.
Perhaps,
I'm curious.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer. Perhaps if you asked something that you had not answered before, it would respond in such a way that said, "That's a great question. We'll cover that in our next session," and alert me or alert me in Slack, like, "Hey, so and so needs." So I don't know how it's going to work.
I'm curious.
I'm definitely curious how this works. And I think it would be great to have in my community. I have 560 members in my reseller mastermind. And so, the current level, those people just pay $5. So it's like, I can't hang out there all day and answer questions, but it would be fascinating to me if I could give this AI enough data about my reselling and give it access to my community to where it could create answers
or mine your data for those answers.
For those people. Like, I hear, how do I get my resale permit in Texas?
Sure.
And then the next day it's, how do I get my resale permit in Florida? Even though you have, I guess a big part of it, it's easier for people to ask questions than to do their own research.
Oh, for sure.
So if you can give access to that research and say, ask as many questions as you want, it could present them in a good manner. So we'll have to see. I will report.
I'm really
back on
curious.
This.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Me too, but I'm going to do it because I think it could save me a lot of time.
All right. Well, I want to talk about what I'm learning, experimenting, comparing Perplexity and ChatGPT. I also want to share some reviews that you all have sent in. The next thing that I want to do is talk about our two sponsors. Because, have you ever tried juggling flaming batons while answering client calls and typing emails with your feet? Yeah, me neither. But running a business without our sponsor, OpenPhone, might feel just about that chaotic. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that keeps you connected without turning you into a 24/7 call zombie. It runs through an app on your phone or computer, so you don't need to carry two phones, or worse, share your personal number with that client who sends 2 a.m. texts about font choices. And the real magic? Your whole team can share one number and collaborate like it's a group chat with call and text history, so nobody drops the ball. Plus, their AI agent answers after hours, handles questions, and captures leads while you sip tea and lead your charmed life. Whether you're solo or scaling up, OpenPhone is the business line built for builders. And OpenPhone is offering our listeners of Business Brain 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/businessbrain. That's OPENPHONE.com/businessbrain. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Keep living that charmed life And our thanks to OpenPhone for sponsoring this episode. And now let's talk websites, because if your business website is still rocking that 2012 vibe with spinning GIFs and Comic Sans, it's time for an intervention. And Eversight, our sponsor, is your always on-call web team for just $3.99 a month. That's it. No $10K setup fee, no long-term contract, just reliable humans who pick up the phone, reply to your texts, and yes, will rescue you when your ancient WordPress site gets hacked by a 14-year-old with a hoodie and a Red Bull. These folks build your new site and proactively manage it so you can spend your brain power where it matters, on growth, not glitchy plugins. Think of Eversight as the secret weapon in your back pocket, right next to your emergency chocolate, of course. They're already managing hundreds of business sites, and they'll treat yours like it's the homepage of the moon landing. And Shannon, I think you are a customer of Eversight, right?
I am. And the reason I'm a customer is because I was reaching out to a bunch of services. I needed help. My site got hacked and everything was down. It was a disaster. I think it was a weekend. And Eversight was the only one that had solutions right away. Everybody else like, yeah, we can build this and we can do this. Call us on Monday or we'll set up an appointment next week. And Eversight was like, okay, if you have an emergency situation, we'll do this, and this, and that will stop the bleeding. Then we can talk. And
that's amazing.
And yeah, I love those guys. They're fantastic.
That's amazing. I love it. You can be an Eversight customer too at eversight.com/BB. That's EVERSITE.com/BB. And our thanks to Eversight for sponsoring this episode.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have, so let's talk about this Perplexity thing.
Yes.
I have been a ChatGPT user and customer for years now.
Same.
And I have a lot of data in there. I am emotionally and habitually committed to ChatGPT. But it is imperfect. I don't expect it to be perfect, but it is imperfect. And I have learned where its imperfections are. One of the things that really drives me crazy about it is its interest in making sure that it pleases me. So I've learned I have to be really careful about how I ask questions, because I don't want to lead it to the answer that it thinks I want. I want the answer, not what would please me, and it drives me crazy when
ChatGPT is certainly a big yes man.
It's a yes man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so that part gets frustrating for me, and I've started playing around with Perplexity. Listeners to this podcast and listeners to some of my other podcasts keep telling me this is the thing that I'm using for my general searching. So as a search engine replacement, I've started thinking about, okay, because ChatGPT, if I ask the question the wrong way, it just tells me what it thinks I want to hear as opposed to what the answer is. And I am getting much better responses out of the free version of Perplexity. I haven't started paying for it yet, but for the last week or so, I have been sort of defaulting to Perplexity. When I have time, I do the same search in both Perplexity and ChatGPT. Sure. And it's not, ChatGPT is not winning this particular.
It's fascinating. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. It's so I need to start using it for more things. And I probably will wind up paying for it for a couple of months, what I need to do is just shift to it for a month.
Is there an aggregator that taps into different AIs that you can use, and then it would come up and give you the answer and show you which AI it used? It seems like an opportunity for somebody.
Oh, that is. I don't know of one, but if you do, feedback at businessbrain.show. Yeah,
let us know.
Yeah. One thing that's frustrating to me about ChatGPT, and again, I've used it more than any other, so I know its limitations. It doesn't mean that others don't have this limitation.
Sure.
But one of the really frustrating things is if I'm in a very long session with it, either digging into some topic or programming with it where I'm having it, create code for me or whatever, it will, if we get off on a tangent, like, we're talking about something and it's like, all right, well, there's this one thing. Let's explore that. It will forget that there was an overreaching thing. Tangent becomes the only thing that matters. And I've gotten to a point where it's like, okay, well, now we have the answer. It's like, no, we have the answer to the tangent. Did you forget? Like, it's literally in the same chat stream.
Yeah,
Did you forget? It forgets. Yeah, it really does. And it's dangerous. And
it's definitely dangerous. It's way overconfident. And it will just lie blatantly to you over and over. And you're like, no. And then it'll go, oh, you're right to call me out. This kind of thing. It's all happy and jovial. And
It takes no offense to it. Yeah. Like I've noticed with programming, I'm very concerned about people who are using it for vibe coding that don't know how to program already. Because I've done things where, I build a thing and it's like, okay, great. We've got this. Hey, let's look at this other part of this. Okay, let's look at the other part. And then it's like, all right, well, it's done. It's like, oh my gosh, no. If I didn't know how to read through the code and parse it myself, this thing would be creating things that I did not want it to create. It very easily. Yeah. And that's dangerous. So
sure.
So I'm going to start messing with Perplexity more, but
it sounds also like that's another opportunity to clean up your vibecode.com, right? Where you could do your coding and then go and say, hey, we're going to go through and tell you the garbage or how that's going to cause a problem, because there are lots of people doing just that,
I know.
Building stuff that don't know. Yeah.
They don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's wild.
We got 2 reviews that I want to talk through.
Nice.
The first comes from Enrico Limcaco. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. From Apple Podcasts here in the United States. 5 stars. Great listen for people who have time to talk business, folks, even designers and creatives like me. Enrico continues, I'm a big fan of Dave's other show, Mac Geek Gab, which is how I learned about Business Brain. Each episode is packed with ways to get the mindset of someone who's successfully leading or a thriving business or side hustle. Advice that also translates well if you're managing up as an employee. Plus, Shannon and Dave share their experience with a ton of tactical tips and tools that usually back up this way of business thinking. Yeah, usually. Jump into any episode, then there's generally a lot of evergreen advice for anyone. Thank you, Enrico. That's great.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
And then we got one from King Dave. That's not me. King Dave from Apple Podcasts in the United States, 5 stars, a higher level show for higher level business owners. I found this podcast from another project of host Shannon Jean. He is just as great here as he is in his $5 mastermind and his numerous appearances on the Corner Office podcast. Here you truly will tune your business brain. The Friday AI segments are very actionable and set this show apart. Again, more
Friday AI.
I know, man. Yeah, It's crazy. Yep.
Yeah, that's good. I like it. It's a great segment because it's such an important part of what's next.
Yeah.
Right? And we're learning just along with you too, and just sharing it and coming up with ways that hey, we like last week we talked about a new note-taking I'm using granola, and I've been using quite a bit. And it's like, hey, it's pretty good and different things. So if we'd love to hear from you, your AI recommendations or how you're building things. And also, that's feedback at businessbrain.show. Reviews, get yourself entered to win a MacBook. We're giving away this year. And where do they go, Dave, to leave a review?
businessbrain.show/review. And then you got to let us know once we read it in the show, shoot us an email because we need to be able to put you on that list for winning that MacBook. So we got to know. We got to know who you are. Yeah.
And talk to us. We want to hear from you. So we're not just speaking into the void, and we want to be able to talk about stuff you want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for sending in your reviews. Thanks for all of it. You are the reason we do this. So thank you. Keep living that charmed life. Have a great weekend. See you next week. Then we're out.
Awesome. Very cool. Those of you that on the live stream, whether you lasted 2 seconds or 20 minutes, we appreciate it. And both these episodes, the first episode we recorded will come out on Wednesday, and then the Friday Eyes episode comes out on Friday, of course. We will see you then. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the live stream now.
Amazing. Thanks, folks.
See ya.
Appreciate it. Later.